The Grizzlies are not allowed to be upset, okay? Yeah, they went into the bubble favored to make the playoffs and they blew it, but so many teams would swap rosters with you. Ja Morant should have been the #1 overall pick. They got the steal of the last draft and Brandon Clarke on the 3rd youngest team in the league. But the front office can't afford to relax. It's not a championship next year, but it is a playoff push season. In this video, we look at exactly what moves the Memphis Grizzlies should make this offseason. Hey, it's Casey. Welcome to AM Hoops. Hit subscribe and notification bells for 5 videos per week, always dropping at 5 Eastern. Today's video is sponsored by our Patreon subscribers, specifically Ashley and Drew Smith, who are new Patreons, big-time Grizzlies fans, and they requested this Grizzlies offseason video. Offseason basics, cap space, $0, because they already spent it technically on Dillon Brooks and taking on bad contracts to add Justise Winslow. They had the $9.3 million mid-level exception. The draft, Boston has their first-round picks. They've got the 40th overall pick, but they own all their future first-rounders. Needs, perimeter shooting, and veteran presence. Relevant free agents, really it's just Josh Jackson and De'Anthony Meton. Let's start with Ja Morant. Yeah, we start this offseason video with Ja symbolically, because everything should start with this man for the Grizzlies. The team has to think about Ja in every move they make. Look, Zach Kleiman, who runs their front office, is really good, but none of his smart moves even matter if he doesn't get lucky with that ping pong ball. The Grizzlies got Ja Morant with that #2 overall pick, but now they have to maximize that luck. So they need to figure out what role Justise Winslow will play. Look, I love Winslow on this team, and so do the Grizz, but there is a problem. Winslow was at his best in Miami with the ball in his hands, and Ja ain't giving up the rock. They keep talking about how great his versatility is, not at the expense of his teammates. I think Winslow must move exclusively back to the small forward position. Taylor Jenkins needs to make this decision early before the season to build chemistry. And speaking of chemistry, De'Anthony Meton was a very good fit with Ja and the Grizz. Josh Jackson? Still too early to tell. Memphis has to decide on both guys to extend their contract or not. Melton is obvious. Sign him. He's an excellent perimeter defender, can't really shoot well, but he can score inside and play make. For like 3 years, $18 million, he is a bargain. Do not, though, sign Josh Jackson if he wants more than the minimum, and here's why. If we had no idea where Josh Jackson was taken in the draft, would he even be on our radar? No. So if another team wants to invest real money, go for it, but the Grizz should only invest the minimum. Yes, his attitude improved being on the G League team, but he only played in 22 games, 4 of 10 seeding games, averaging 9 points on 44% shooting. He's eligible for about $9 million, but the Grizz should not pay up. Now let's talk trades and free agency. And this is a really interesting year for the entire NBA in terms of player movement. Less money is available for free agents because of the pandemic. There are 43 guys with player options, and a lot of them won't opt out because this is a horrible time to be a free agent. They'll put it off to next year. So that means 2 things. Number 1, the mid-level exception is really valuable, and the Grizzlies have that. And number 2, I think teams will improve even more through trades instead of free agency. So let's run through 2 potential free agent targets, but 3 trades for the Grizz to improve to make the playoffs. The first free agent target, bring back Justin Holiday. This is not the same Justin Holiday as 2018-19. He just had his career best season from 3 on the Pacers, hitting 40% from downtown on his usual 4.5 attempts per game. Look, I'm not saying he's gonna do that, but as an above average 3-point shooter, he could fill several roles. Next up is Juan Hernangomez. He is a restricted free agent, so Memphis is going to have to put together a really competitive offer sheet to get him, but they should. He excelled with a bigger role after that trade from Denver to Minnesota. Dude went from 3 points a game to 13, 3 boards a game to 7, no steals to 1 while shooting 42% from downtown on 5 attempts. He's also a good fit age-wise at just 24, and positionally in the front court, especially with Jaren Jackson Jr.'s health issues. They may have to pay more than they want to, but Memphis should grab him after he's done shooting that Netflix movie with Adam Sandler. All right, now on to trades, and again, the pandemic effect could force Zach Kleiman to be really active in the trade market 2 years in a row. And the cool thing for the Grizzlies is they have a lot of tools to get a trade done. They've got a big expiring contract in Gorgui Dieng. They've got talented young players outside of Ja Morant, and they own all their future first-round picks after this season. So why not trade Gorgui Dieng, Grayson Allen, and 3 first-round picks to Sacramento for Buddy Hield? The Kings do this to get off their long-term deal with Buddy Hield, especially because he's unhappy there. They get Grayson Allen to give some depth at shooting guard. The 3 first-round picks help with the rebuild. I think Sacramento will be last in the West this year. Hield gives Memphis exactly what they're lacking, a really good perimeter shooting threat. They've got the front court, the dynamic lead guard. Buddy would help complete the playoff push. Next, Dillon Brooks and Tyus Jones to OKC for Dennis Schroder. The Thunder do this to add young, talented depth to a team that could lose a lot to free agency. Dillon Brooks emerged as a real contributor, and he's on a team-friendly contract. Yeah, the Thunder have a great future with all those draft picks, but Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Lou Dort are really all they have for sure. Adding Brooks would be huge. On Memphis, Schroder is the secondary ball handler that Jones was, only a much better playmaker and scorer. While Brooks could be inconsistent, Schroder is one of the most consistent offensive players in the NBA, bringing almost 20 points a night. But the big swing trade is Dillon Brooks, Brandon Clarke, and Grayson Allen for Zach LaVine. I saw this trade from Greg Swartz and I loved it. It's aggressive because the Grizz know the West is hyper competitive this year. Kleiman cannot be afraid to move off some young talented players to upgrade. The Grizz were 21st in offense last year. Obviously, Zach LaVine is one of the better offensive players in basketball, above average from 3, and he would form the most athletic backcourt in the league with Ja Morant. Chicago wants to be what the Grizzlies were last year, a young, surprising team pushing for the playoffs. What better way to do that than adding 2 of their best young players? Look, the West is going to be super competitive this coming season. Like, the Grizzlies want someone's playoff spot. Well, it can't be OKC's playoff spot in the West because the Warriors are going to take that. So who are the Grizz going to knock out? Portland? Utah? I don't know, but the front office has to be super aggressive to make the playoffs. Support AM Hoops and click subscribe. Don't miss a daily NBA video.